Hola, buenas tardes, buenos dias, ¿qué tal? You've made it to the end, you've made it to the final one, congratulations. It's going to be a little bit of a longer one, this one, because I want to just try and round everything off. We have, in the last lesson, we were talking about irregular verbs. That's the fourth out of the 5 types of verbs that is in the Spanish language. Today, we're going to talk about the 5th one. We're going to talk about what I like to call radical changing verbs. Before we start that, what we're also going to do today is I'm also going to show you the tools online where you can find all this information for yourself. So as always, what I say is you can actually teach yourself the language, and with these study materials it's really going to help you along to give you the foundations of the language. Right at the beginning, lesson number 1, I said we can all look up words. We can Google, translate a word, what a word is for a cup, for a glass, for glasses, for a mobile. We can look those words up. The interesting factor about these lessons, or this course, is actually to give you the tools to go and find out how the structure of the language is determined. So then when you're actually trying to create language itself or conversation, you now understand where and why and how it derives. So without further ado, radical changing verbs. Are you ready? Let's go. Okay, so let's have a look first of all now at our radical changing verbs. Before we start that though, the first thing I want to do is have a look at the verb that we're going to use today. The first one is going to be the verb to be. Now to conjugate the verb to be, it becomes I am, you are, he, she or it is, we are, yous are and they are. However, there's 2 types of verb that we can look at here. I'm going to give you a quick English sentence. I am Rick and I am happy. Now, I am Rick means I'll actually always be Rick. My name will never change, that's my name, and then that's how it is. So that's really a verb called a permanent verb, to be. So it's the permanent of I am. I am happy. That's not always going to be permanent. Tomorrow I might be sad, I might be tired, I might be hungry, I might be excited. So that therefore is a temporary verb to be. In Spanish they've actually done that as well. In Spanish, they've actually differentiated between those 2 verbs. So there are 2 types of verbs to be. One is permanent and one is temporary. And what we'll do first of all is we'll look at the permanent one. So the permanent verb to be is ser. Ser, to be. If we conjugate ser, I am, you are, he is, etc., that will then become soy. Soy. Eres. Eres. Es. Es. Somos. Sois. Son. Soy, eres, es. Somos, sois, son. I am, you are, he, she or it is, we are, yous are, they are. Soy, eres, es. Somos, sois, son. Now without you guys realising this, we actually already used some of those conjugations in the first 2 or 3 lessons. For instance, when I first introduced myself and went, hola, soy Rick. That's the reason why we have to use the verb ser, because my name will always be Rick. So, soy Rick. Eres de Escocia? Are you from Scotland? If you were, you would always be from Scotland, hence the reason why I use eres from the verb ser as well. So that's your first radical changing verb. It sounds nothing like the top headline verb, but it does conjugate all the way down. Again, it's one of those things that we have to learn if you want to move on with the Spanish, but as I mentioned before, just like a Sudoku or a crossword, that's what the challenge is, and that's what the fun should be about it. Okay, let's now move on to the second one. The second verb, again, is to be, or I am, you are, but this one is then temporary. So it's a temporary state of mind. So what we're going to do from there, the verb that we're going to use for this one, is the infinitive of the verb, headline verb, is going to be estar. And that also means to be, but in a temporary state. So now if I conjugate those ones, the 6 conjugations you're going to get, still I am, you are, he is, etc., but this time in a temporary state, is going to sound like this. Estoy. Estoy. Estás. Estás. Está. Está. Estamos. estamos. Estáis, estáis, están, están. Estoy, estás, está, estamos, estáis, están. So what happens if you get them wrong? Nothing. Doesn't matter. It shows that you're trying. When I first started doing the language, I got them wrong all the time. But it doesn't matter, because we've got your get out of jail free cards. Lo siento, estoy aprendiendo español. So you got your get out of jail free card, you're actually helping yourself, and at least you're trying to make the effort into it. But if you want to get into the level of actually learning the language itself in the proper foundations, and those are the, that's the type of radical changing verbs that you need to learn. I'm going to give you one more before we move on to the second style of this lesson. The second part of this lesson really is a culmination of bringing everything together. But let me just bring you one more first of all before we go, because this is actually my favourite. Yes, believe it or not, I'm so sorry. I actually have a favourite radical changing verb, or RCV as I call them. And my favourite one is actually the verb to go. I go, you go, we go, he goes, she goes, all those. The reason why I like this is we can actually then use this to actually help ourselves speak in the future tense. So let's have a quick look first of all. What is the infinitive of the verb to go? Well, the infinitive of the verb to go, very simple, ir, ir. Now it looks nothing like what it sounds. Just think of this. I've got two of them, ir. And if you say it that way, it does help. Okay, now all the way through here, the first letter of the conjugation is the letter V. And because it's the letter V in Spain, another rule is that they will use that as the letter and pronounce it as the letter B. It's a very soft B, okay? But if we start conjugating this one, the verb ir, now you can see obviously if it starts with the letter B, it's completely different to ir, but it's a very good one that I like to use all the time. So from here, I go, voy, vas, va, vamos, vais, van, voy, vas, va, vamos, vais, van. So why do I find that one of my favourite ones? I'm sorry about that, yeah, it's the truth. The reason being is because I can use that. I can use that to help myself get around a different tense, a little bit into the future tense. Let's first of all look at the present tense of using that. So if I say voy a la playa, I look up the word for playa, and playa is actually beach. So I'm going, or I go to the beach, voy a la playa. Vamos a la playa? You can throw it as a question. Are we going to the beach? Because vamos is we go, or are we going? Because again, with the inflection of the word, you can actually get that into a question state. So how can I use that into a different tense then? Well, very simple. Look up for the word for tomorrow. The word for tomorrow is mañana. Hasta mañana. Remember that one? Mañana voy a la playa. Tomorrow, I'm going to the beach. So with a present tense verb, I've very cleverly managed to use that and create a future tense out of a present tense verb. And that's the reason why, for me, the verb ir is a fantastic one to have straight away. We're definitely not talking the future tense yet, but we're using it to actually get ourselves into future tense. The future tense has a completely different set of rules, but this is a great way for beginners to start looking at and using it as a future tense. Okay? Right. I'm going to stop with verbs now, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you something completely different. Okay? Stick with us. This will start making sense. It's all well and good knowing all this information, but the question is how do I manage now to get this information and to use this information and to move going forward so I can actually learn the language myself? Okay, I'm going to show you how. This is how I managed to do it. I stumbled across two different websites which I've used consistently now for the last 2 years. What I'd like you to do, very simple, is if you're online, in front of a laptop, just open yourself up open up Google, and I want you to try and just type in these words for me. It's actually Linguasorb Top 100 Spanish Verbs. Click on that link from there, and that link will open up. It's a free website, and what you can see from there already is it just looks like a lot of adverts at the moment, but if you scroll down, what you can actually see now is the top 100 Spanish verbs. There's ser, there's estar, tener, to have. I normally go to number 20. 20 is hablar, which is to speak. Just click on that one at the moment, and that will open up the conjugation for hablar. There's the infinitive of it. Scroll down from it, you see from there, we're just looking at concentrating on this part at the moment. This is the present tense. Now what's great about the computer is if you hover over it, it will actually highlight what it is that those words are. And you remember, hablo, hablas, hablar, hablamos, habláis, hablan. And it tells you exactly how to do it. There's even a speaker on the right which will tell you how to pronounce it as well. Down the left-hand side is actually the conjugations themselves. And you can actually hit a little quiz on there. So if you hit the button on the quiz, and it'll open itself up again, you go into it and you can just click on start the quiz. It tells you now present tense hablar. So the first one here is, if it was a pronoun of tú, which is you, how would you then answer it? Well, for us, we know that now is hablas. You can check it and it's there. Okay, now you can do this with the whole of the verb all the way through. You can go to the next one. I'll just back page it for a second, a couple of pages. That gets me back into the list of the verbs. Everything in red is an irregular verb or it is a radical changing verb. Everything in blue is a regular AR, ER or IR verb, and they will follow, let's trabajar, yeah, they will follow the normal rules of what we already know. And there's 4 pages of them. So what they've done is they've grouped the irregular verbs and the radical changes together. It doesn't matter though, because just when looking at that, we actually know what it is that what they are and how we can get to do it. To me, I find this an absolutely fascinating one. It's a great site. I go into this regularly on a daily basis and go and have a look at it and see how it works. Click on tener. You can see from there now, because it's red, it must be an irregular or radical. Tengo, tienes, tiene, tenemos, tenéis, tienen. You can see conjugation 4 and 5 are in black. And the reason there's the infinitive of it. And that's the reason being, as we always said, the 4 and 5 conjugations tends to be close. There's one we just did. There's ir. We've just looked at ir. If I click on there, you can see voy, vas, va, vamos, vais, and van. Again, the speakers down the right will show you how to pronounce it. Or you just page back into it. And there's loads in there that you can see for yourself that might help you. And what you see, the conjugation, you just click on them. Querer, there's the one, I want. Remember the first one we did? Quiero. And you can see it from there. It's in red, but you needed to understand what an irregular verb was before I could actually start with those. But there's the list for them again. Quiero, quieres, quiere, queremos, quieres, quieren. And they're all in there. It's absolutely a fascinating website. I've had this saved on my favourites for so long and I use it all the time. To me, it's a tool that I use so much and I get so much benefit out of this as well. And I think you guys will too. Okay, so the second site I want you to try and type in onto Google is very simple, Coffee Break Spanish. If you see from there, it's Coffee Break Spanish. It comes actually from a company called Linguasorb, I believe. It is free. It's absolutely brilliant. You click into Coffee Break Spanish. This is the web page it opens. It is available as well on a free podcast. So if you've got podcasts on your iPhone or Android, you can do it. You see the seasons below. Most of the structure I use is actually coming from season 1 because this guy who teaches it, Mark, he's been an absolutely fantastic teacher. And it is very, very simple, 10 to 15 minute lessons, all on the basics of the language, of the Spanish language. So season 1, lesson 1, you can click into there. What I normally tend to do is I tend to go to the podcast, which will somewhere across the top, and then literally just press play on this. There you go, there's the play button down there. Just have a mooch around the website if you're going to do it on the line, if you're going to do it online. But you can also, as I say, I normally tend to use the podcast for these. Click onto the podcast. It's a 12-minute one, the first one.
Bienvenidos a Coffee Break Spanish. Yo soy Mark. My name's Mark.
As you can hear from there, it's a very, very simple way of actually building up the language. And if you just got it in your headphones, just listening, you'll find to yourself, to me, it's been one of the breakthrough moments for me of learning. A lot of people try to teach me different languages, but this guy teaches it in such a way that it's extremely easy and extremely clear for people to get the message across of trying to learn it. I think you guys will get some benefit from this one as well, without a shadow of a doubt. So there you have it. For me, I was going to say very simple. It's not very simple. This is how somebody who has a love of languages has managed to self-teach myself Dutch fluently, Flemish fluently, and now most probably about 60%, 70% Spanish, and I'll carry on that as well, because just like the crosswords, I enjoy the challenge of actually learning the language. If you enjoy the challenge as well, I think you'll find those tools that I've just shown you are going to be very, very helpful for you. Have a look around them. Any questions or anything else you need, just leave them in the comments below, and it's, I'll try and get back. I'll try and reply to every single one of them. I just want to say thank you very much for taking your time with it, and thank you very much for coming along the journey. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you find it's been helpful to yourself. I know there's a couple of Spanish people in the comments as well. I hope I've done okay with it, so thank you very much. There is a lot further to go in Spanish. You can go as far as you like. But for yourself, very simple Spanish to get around the Canaries, mainland Spain, wherever you want to go, using this, even if you speak Spanish in present tense mode, it's absolutely no problems whatsoever. The locals will love to see you trying it, and they will not correct you, so don't be ashamed of the rabbits in the headlights moment. They'll gladly help you out whenever needed. Once again, if you like it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Please share it. Just share it to other people who are thinking of learning a language, and it might be helpful to them as well. And maybe we'll do a second course. I look forward to seeing you on that one if we do, but I think I've given you enough to work on for this one. So from myself, have a great day here in Tenerife. I'll say adios.